What'd you take away from that?
Well, the same thing that we heard from Mike Dunleavy, which is, yes, if we can improve in the margins, and if we do get these guys to play a little bit more often than they did, darn it, we can be right there again. And we've won 4 championships, and we can be a team that can still compete. However, and I did like the piece, and I wanted to ask him, it's more of just an open praise, and I can do it with him gone. How great would it be to have an owner like Joe Lacob to work for?
Yep.
Where it's like, you know what? You like him? Don't give him a 2-way deal. Sign that man.
Green light.
Green light
Lots
for
of green
everything.
Light. Yeah, green light.
And
if
the green light
really
is
believe
if you believe in it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't we all want that in our life, to be able to have people around us who believe in us, support what we're trying to do, and then say, you know what? Go do that.
This is probably not the comment that anyone's going to expect right now. But here's what I want to say. Just from sitting right here next to Larry Harris and Raymond Ritter is, staring over your shoulders like, don't ask the wrong question.
Totally.
Don't you ask the wrong question.
Is incredible.
The Golden State Warriors are so slick. And I know that word has negative connotations, and I don't mean that. The Warriors are so buttoned up. And so it's really piggybacking on what you just said about what Larry told us. Along the lines of what Mike Dunleavy said, he sat here and I thought said things from a genuine place, but also removed nothing from the table, removed absolutely nothing, kept expectations low, and allowed hopes to be high.
Right.
If we can hit a home run, we will. If not, we'll improve on the margins, and yes, we do need improvement from within. And I think that's maybe not an answer everyone wants to hear, but it's a fair one. It's a fair answer.
Right.
Because even like you're talking about, Dunleavy says, okay, trades are hard. And I thought it was funny because then yesterday there were 2 of them. You're like, well, they're not that hard.
Right.
And
I was just reviewing with Raymond Ritter before the segment started, and I pointed out to him that last year in the first round of the NBA draft, there were 16 trades that were made.
And I took the over on the what you said it at, 8.5.
I think so. Which is a stupid line now that I think about it.
Yeah, we've already got 2 since you set that line. And so, but I do think for the Warriors, trades might be hard.
Right.
Because they don't have just tons of assets that people want. And a lot of times when people send off those assets, it's because they have absolutely no hope or expectation of winning right now. Why did the Nets give up Mikal Bridges? Why? Because they don't care. The Warriors care.
Well, the Nets they care about 2027.
Exactly. The Warriors care about October.
Yeah.
And when you care about October, it's hard to acquire people because you're not just willing to give up all your. If the Warriors could be like, sure, you're gonna have Kuminga and Pajemski and all our picks for the next one, but no, they're trying to stay whole and improve. So I'll agree with them. It is complex, but what I was really looking for, and what we want to share with the audience, is because we have the opportunity to sit in front of someone. You're hearing them through a microphone. We're looking in their eyes. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to look into his eyes and think about what is it you're actually trying to do behind the scenes right now. And I think they're trying their what's off.
To hit a home run.
I think they're trying their what's off to hit a home run, and they're smart to manage expectations, but I do get a quiet, confident sense from listening to these guys talk that they feel there's a real chance that something big does happen. And really, the reasoning behind that to me is not just, as you point out, Joe Lacob and his willingness. It's Steph Curry. He's too special.
Yeah.
He's too special for this organization to sit here and go, we'll improve on the margins. So we had the whole offseason. We missed the playoffs. We're going to come back and we improved the backcourt defense. I mean, yeah.
Well, that's the fallback plan.
But you got it right. You got to go bigger than that.
And find a shooting big, which tells me that Dario Saric is not going to be a Golden State Warriors anymore.
Well, he was a shooting big, and then he stopped shooting.
Right, and he stopped being big
playing.
Other than being big on the bench. But that's the one thing that they need. And if they do want to improve in the margins, if they don't, if they're unable to hit a home run and maybe Clay doesn't come back, well, then you need another shooting wing and you need a shooting big. And these are all things that you're going to have to find in free agency without a lot of money to do it. So I do think they look at the roster and they realize that they do need to hit a home run if they can. But you're right. They're managing expectations because trades are hard. Trades of that magnitude are hard. Now, you could make a smaller trade, and, I talked about the first-round draft trades from last year. There were 16 of them where this player gets picked, and they get traded to this team, then you get a pick, and then you get a future pick, and the trades will be flying tonight in the NBA draft. But those are not big trades.
Right.
Those are not home run trades, which is what the Warriors are looking to do.
Well, and the other answer that I really took something from was right there at the end when Larry Harris, when given the opportunity to say, man, if Wiggins doesn't have a situation and Steph doesn't miss a couple games and Draymond doesn't get suspended twice, we think we could have, and then fill in blank. He didn't say that. Larry Harris sat here, I thought, and very much admitted to us, the Warriors have got to get better.
Yeah.
The Warriors have improvements to make, and I don't think that that's breaking news, but it's not always shared from inside the building. A lot of times you do get that, what I know to many fans feels like an excuse and a convenient way to sort of package the end of the Steph Curry era. He's like, no, we can compete, but we can only compete if we really improve. And to me, I find that comforting because they do know they got to go do some things here in the next 2 weeks.
Absolutely. And, the first thing they want to do is to make a big swing for a big player and hit a, quote, home run. But if they can't do that, well, then how do you get better on the margins? And if you can trade Andrew Wiggins and you can get another wing player who can come in and help you, then you look to do that. And maybe it's as simple as, your board and his draft board. And I was interested to hear him talk about where they had TJD last year. They had him at the bottom end of the lottery. He and Podziemski were their number one and their number two. And so you got to the spot with 19 in pods. And so you took pods, and then you realized that once TJD got in the second round, you were able to kind of manipulate that through the agent, the brother of Dunleavy. Incredible.
Absolutely. So great stuff from Larry Harris. We got some breaking news to pass along.
95.7 The Game breaking news.
Well, we heard just a day ago that OG Anunoby was opting out of his contract, and here's why. The free agent forward will sign a 5-year, $212.5 million contract to return to the New York Knicks. So the Knicks, he opts out of the final year of the contract so that he can simply sign a new fresh one again. 5 years, $212.5 million. OG Anunoby returning to the New York Knicks. The deal will include a player option and a trade kicker, and this is all courtesy of Woj. And I think that if you start to move down the line of what this means, there's a conversation in terms of what this means for the Golden State Warriors. I am not an expert on the Knicks cap situation, but we know that is absolutely, I would argue, side by side, the two teams I hear the most with regard to Paul George smoke are the Warriors and the Knicks. Does this mean that the Knicks are potentially less likely to get involved with Paul George? Maybe, maybe not, but a good chunk of their salary situation is now taken up by OG Anunoby.
Yeah, it makes them a little bit harder because you look at their situation. You got Randall at 30, you got Brunson at 25, and they just traded Bogdanovich, so they got rid of his 19. Anunoby was set to make 19, and now he gets a deal worth 5 and 212, which by my quick math is about 43 a year. So, he's 42.4.
And I actually left the 0.5 out, so it's a touch higher, about 42 and a half.
Okay, so
42 and a half.
That 42 and a half, so he goes from 19.9 to 42 and a half.
Boom!
And Bogdanovich comes off at 19, so you do have room for that, and you still have a little bit of room underneath the second apron if New York is so inclined.
Remember that Bridges is on that team now, too.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
true.
So whatever Bridges' salary is.
Which is not huge, I don't believe.
Not huge, but it's not.
It's going to be going up in the future.
It's not nothing. It's not nothing. So, again, the Knicks have a lot of space. I'm not an expert on their situation, but Bridges is in. Brunson is signed. You got to figure out Julius Randle. He makes a lot of money, and now Anunoby strikes gold, $42.5 million over a 5-year span. That's a lot of dough. Are the New York Knicks going to, on top of all of that,
I doubt it,
be in the market for 4 max years for Paul George? Seemingly less likely right now than it was, 24 hours ago.
Yeah, without a doubt. And so you start to whittle the teams down. And if the teams that really are hot after Paul George, if that number does go down, that does a lot for Golden State in the ability to maybe not include Kuminga in a deal because the Clippers' leverage to demand more assets goes down.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I will tell you this, even just listening to Larry Harris sit here and talk about hitting a home run, listening to all of the NBA reporters say that the Warriors are knocking on every door. They're involved in every conversation that's at a high level. I don't know when it was, but somewhere along the road here, don't you think the tone of the whole offseason changed? If you go back 6 months, and I know that that's when the season was still hot and heavy and didn't know how it was going to finish, but if you go back 6 months, the whole conversation about the Warriors was, well, they're strapped. They're going to save money, and they can't do anything this offseason. What day was it when all of a sudden the Warriors are like, oh, yeah, we can get involved with anybody. Max contracts, trades. Like, yep, we are open for business. I was under the impression that they wouldn't be able to do stuff like that very easily.
Yeah, and a lot of it hinges on one